Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The battle for Azeroth Alpha is in full effect. Surprises are around every corner, and we're just as confused as the rest of you. Welcome back for episode 25 of the Unshackled Fury podcast, your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. I'm your host, Berserker, and beside me, as always, is the man who never says no to an illicit laboratory-born beverage. He is Navox. Welcome back, sir.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. No,
Feel it coursing through your veins.
Yeah, man. How you doing? How's your week been so far?
Well, I tell you, it has not been a good WoW week in general. This is one of those weeks where life has a way of intruding on your gameplay. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get as much game time in. I was late for raid on one day. I missed an entire other day. I've really been trying to get in and do a lot of daily quests and try to get my rep up so I can get my Draenei.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Because I'm not like really super far behind on rep, but I'm not exalted yet. So
right.
I'm trying to work on that a little bit, picking up some quests where I can, and that's honestly, since the last episode, that's been the bulk of my Warcraft playing, is trying to catch up on some reputation grinds. But unfortunately, a lot of honey-do list action, a lot of work action. You know what? That's just kind of how it is. But again, one of the great things about this beloved game of ours is you jump in, you got 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes if you're lucky, and you knock out a whole bunch of stuff. So how about you?
Yeah, I chased the love rocket this week, or this whole month.
In game or out of game?
Who knows, maybe both. No, so I am trying to, I always do this, I jump ahead of what I want to say. I've been trying to level up this Blood Elf warrior to get the other, the Horde side elf, so I could go the
Nightborn.
Yes, so I was trying to level up my warrior to get the Nightborn, and then I realized I just don't care. I cannot get into the storyline for the Horde right now, and I was like, okay, I got these other two, I'll unlock them, and I unlocked them, I made some tunes, I made a hunter, and I haven't touched it yet because I decided I was going to get my other characters across the finish line to 110, so I was doing the daily dungeon quests with the characters that are all, I was trying to get that mount. I'll probably never use it, but it's just something that's like, hey, I got it, cool. One check that off the list. I don't have to do it. But yeah, I actually managed to level like two of my characters just logging in, doing the daily dungeon, the Chemical Brothers Company dungeon, and I got two of them to 110. I'm working on my druid now. He's 107. And I'm actually having fun playing the druid. I didn't think I would have fun playing the druid, but because I shit on the druids all the time, because I fly over to that area that's close to where their base or whatever that you call it, their class order hall, but it's right next to the raid instance. So if you fly close to it, it dismounts you. It's bullshit. I hate it. But yeah, so I'm playing the druid. It's a lot of fun, but I've been trying to keep up with a lot of the Battle for Azeroth stuff going on. I saw that Alpha's out there, and people are bitching.
People are, and I think that's a great rage topic for us this week. So why don't we jump into that?
Let's rage.
Okay, Alpha Whiners. You know them. You see them. They're out there. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're on the subways, they're on the buses, they're on the freeways, they're in the halls, they're in your offices, they're everywhere. You can't get away from them.
Oh, yeah.
And this is nothing new. Every time there's a new wave of, well, it used to be beta invites, then now it's alpha invites, and anything that's new and fresh and exciting, there's the haves and there's the have-nots. And the haves, well, you pretty much figure out who those are in the first round of just about everything with this franchise.
Yep.
The have-nots, well, there's many of us, and, we're the flotsam and jetsam, and that's how it goes. But I have
But
not
what about
seen...
me? I've been playing since vanilla. What about me?
I got that thing for 10 years of continuous subscriptions. Yeah. I've never seen it as bad as it is now, where you have people that are, please retweet me 100 times so Blizzard can see. It's the whole, hey, celebrity, take me to the prom if I get 50,000 retweets. I mean, when did a retweet become a verifiable voting process? This is not a valid contract.
I know.
Retweets and favorites. And listen, if you want to get in on the alpha or later in a beta or any one of these other fabulous prizes, you have to play. You have to give feedback. You have to be involved. You have to provide value to the company that makes these games. They're not giving alphas out just because. They're giving them out because they want to see people playing the game, going on streams, giving feedback.
Right.
Giving them something to then work off of. I mean, and we talked about this a little bit before we started recording. It's a little weird because it seems like alpha has become the new beta because we never used to see the alpha. The alpha was like some mysterious internal thing that was just, it was as mythical as anything else. Now they have no NDA issues and they're streaming alpha. I mean, it's crazy. But then on the backside of that, you get all these people complaining. And I don't know about you, man, but maybe I'm just getting old, but I think it's worse than ever.
No, it is. And, I was fortunate enough that I was able to get into, I was in the beta for Warlords, and then I was in the beta for Legion. And it was a lot of fun, and I did provide a lot of feedback for them. I didn't get into the alpha for this, and it's okay. Like, I'm not upset about it, nothing like that. Also, one thing I did want to say is, guys, don't get scammed. Blizzard doesn't hand out keys anymore. They just flag your account and you can play. Right now, they've handed it to the content creators, and I'm really glad that they did, because the content that we are getting out there, there's a lot of quality content for the Battle for Azeroth coverage that they have at the moment. I've been watching Hazel from Hazel Nutty Games, Tristan and Evatel, Bellular, probably just murdered that name. But, these guys are doing a lot of good, they're very good content creators. I enjoy watching their videos, and I'm glad they're in. And I'm getting my information, based on what I'm seeing there and some other Twitch streamers. But, they just, if you want to get into the alpha, you want to get in the beta, the best way to do it is head over to your account management page, go to your beta profile settings, and enable it, and just make sure that you're not going, if you do get in, that you do provide some feedback, because that's they're looking for feedback, because once they and that was the first wave that they put out for people.
Right.
There's going to be more, and they're just going to keep increasing and increasing and increasing. I played very little of the Legion alpha and beta, because there's a part of me that doesn't like doing things over. I'm playing an MMO and I don't like doing things over and over again. I don't like going through and rehashing the same, but I did provide some feedback in the last one, but it's important to do that kind of stuff. But I'm really, I'm happy with what I'm seeing that's out there. A lot of the stuff looks really, really cool. And I think, we're in for a treat when they finally do release it. So,
and I think that's part of the thing that people lose sight of is, remember too that if this is an alpha, so typically, right, process alpha, beta, release, this is not a fully fleshed out game. This is a game that still has bugs and is broken in certain respects.
Yep.
And that's all the stuff that they're looking to flesh out. And I think part of the problem is that, and I've seen this happen every time people get access, whether it's the alpha, beta, whatever, and then they go in and they go, oh, all this crap is broken.
Yep.
And then they check out for 2 months. It's like, well, then why did they waste it on you? Like, you're not going to, again, provide value. That's who gets this stuff. If you go on the forums and you say, hey, I'm working on this rotation for XYZ thing, I see that this timing is off, or this doesn't quite make sense, or this is hitting hard, or this isn't doing shit, that's what they're looking for. Or, hey, this quest flow seems funky because it's over here, or it's broken here, or whatever the thing is, or hey, this looks like Samwise Didier's face on this thing. Are we going to get a real icon at some point? I mean, that's the kind of stuff they're looking at. So here's the thing, people. It's all going to happen. We're all going to get to take part in it at some point. So don't ask for retweets. Don't ask for likes. Don't pester these people. Just wait it out. Just do your thing, play the game, and everything will be just fine. Berserker promises you. All right, so enough of that. You've already talked about what's going on with the alpha, a little bit with that. So let's head on over to our news. So alpha servers have gone up since the last time you and I chatted, and we've seen data mine stuff all over the place, but we haven't necessarily seen in the game what's going on, people actually playing it, get their hands on it, do that sort of thing. And we've seen where there's been an Alliance zone, Drustvar, a Horde zone, Nazmir, a couple of dungeons, Atal Dazar, and Freehold, if I'm saying these correctly, have been open for testing, and people have been out there stretching the limits, seeing what's going on. I'll be honest, I try to avoid a lot of this stuff ahead of time, partially to your point of I don't want to feel like I'm reliving too much before I actually get my hands on the thing. But you say you've been watching some streams, so what have you been watching, and what kind of stuff have you been seeing?
So, like for example, I was watching, like I mentioned it before, I watched Hazel Nutty Games, who's, Hazel, she does really good videos on what to do in game, really good walkthroughs, things like that. She talked about what's happening with the trade skills and skill ups, and where we're going with that. I watched a couple of videos on how Arms Warriors are changing. They're changing up Arms Warriors, which is a good thing because it sounds like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Because I don't like the way Arms is playing currently. It seems rather clunky to me. It's not what it used to be, and it just seems really, really clunky to me. But besides that, these zones that they've created look really, really cool. So you've got Drustvar. It looks like very Eastern European Gothic. Trying to like Witcher 3. Like if you've ever played Witcher 3 or Van Helsing, something like that, where it's old style. It looks really cool. I like that look. I like that feel.
Gothic, everything's wet and
moldy
and
they've got something. There's a neat story going on there, so I don't want to ruin it because I do know like a little bit of the story that's going on there. So everybody will be surprised with that. I don't want to ruin that storyline. But then you've got Nazmir, which is it's just a swamp. But it's a really, really pretty swamp.
Are you just saying this because it's a Horde zone, or is it legitimately a swamp?
No, it's legitimately a swamp.
Oh, okay.
It's the troll zone. It is a swamp. Which if you're a troll and you're in a troll lore, you're gonna love the zone. The same with the dungeons that I saw. The Atal Dazar. It looks like a real life like Zuma game. I don't know if anybody. It looks like. That ball
Zumba,
game.
Like the exercise thing?
No, Zuma. You got a little frog who spits out these balls. It's just a weird game that we used to play, PopCap games back in the day. And then you've got Freehold, which is basically like a, it's a pirate dungeon. It's like Booty Bay Live or something. It's if Booty Bay, you could go through and fight everybody. That's what it would be like. So there's a lot of neat things coming down the road, and I'm really looking forward to everything that I like everything that I'm seeing so far, but they could put out anything, I'll pretty much like it. So
as we've made no secret of, we're marks through and through, so we'll take whatever comes. So to your point, class spell changes, talents, all of those things continue to be iterated upon. I know we've touched on this in the past to say we're not going to get too bent out of shape about anything in particular, because one week you're going to have a brand new ability. The next week that ability is going to be gone, or it's going to be nerfed to the ground, or it's going to be buffed, and then it's going to be leveled out. And it's just, these swings are just going to happen. So again, if you're lucky enough to have alpha content available to you, go out there, check it out, give them feedback. I mean, that's exactly why you've been granted access to it. I have not, because I rarely provide valuable feedback other than I'm too stupid to understand what's going on, and you need to dumb this game down some more. So if you want to blame casuals, go ahead and blame me. One of the topics I see keep coming up, one of the topics I see that keeps coming up with the alpha is that there is not just spells, abilities, places, all that kind of stuff, but there's also, I guess it's text that comes through, but it's the sound files, it's the voice files, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's what's going on with certain characters and how the story might be playing out. And so some of that is already out there, ripe for spoiling. And I understand that some of it has to do with Sylvanas, which I think we all assume is very prominent in this expansion. But for me, I am trying very hard. This is definitely one of the things where I'm trying very hard to avoid all spoilers about story, the technical side of it. Okay, we can dive into that and talk about, well, now hunters are going to be able to have 15 pets at one time or some crazy shit like that. I mean, we can talk about that. But for me, I really try to stay away from that sort of stuff because, one, I'm just spoiler averse anyway when it comes to story, but two, one of the things that I've seen a lot in the past is it changes, and I end up getting myself very confused when in the past I have played more beta than I think I have in the last expansion or two. Cataclysm I played a ton, and I remember I think I played like a druid worgen and I leveled it up to some ridiculous level, and I actually spent a lot of time in there. And then when it came to the actual release, I was like, oh, there's stuff that's different here. I don't remember this part. Was it this part or was it this part? And so one part of it is I'm just trying to keep myself, on track as to what actually happens at all of these things. But the other part of it too is that I just want to play it through and find out as it happens, be surprised, because especially now with all of the in-game cinematics that we get and the level of storytelling that they've introduced into Warcraft and how amplified. I mean, it's really come on in its own life now beyond, I think, anything what we've seen in the past. What about you? Do you try to avoid all that stuff? Do you care about text? What's happening with characters?
I really don't care about the text and the voice of the what's happening. I used to go out there and read all the spoilers. Now I almost wonder if Blizzard is just like messing with us with some of the stuff that they're putting out. There's some ramblings with Saurfang and some things that were data mined. I almost wonder if Blizzard would, at this point, just to keep the story fresh for everybody, actually, send people down a rabbit trail with some false data mining information. I don't know if that, I wouldn't put it past them. Just be like, all right, hey, come here, record this. And people are going to lose their mind in the meantime.
Suddenly the Lich King shows up and they're like, whoa,
exactly.
Where is this coming from?
Right, exactly. I like playing the game the way it is right now. I don't want to, I'm interested. What spoiler I will get into? I will read the novel that's coming out next month. The one that's the new Christie Golden novel. I'll read that because I did that with War Crimes right before, we got Warlords. So having the book, be a precursor to the expansion, that's something that I'll get into and I'll read and then I'll know more of, and then I'll probably go out there and read more spoilers because I'll probably be wanting more of the information of what's going on after that. But it's still too early for me. I mean, I know it's happening. I know the game's coming out in September, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still too early for everybody, really. I mean, people are just getting their hands on the game now and playing it and, figuring things out, figuring out bugs. And once the big story's been answered, what's Sylvanas doing? Why is, the world tree blowing up, this, that, and the other? And then it's going to be off to the races at that point. And
I do wonder about that because, like you mentioned, the Christie Golden book that's coming is Before the Storm.
Yeah.
And that is coming out on June the 12th. So we do have a little bit of time.
Okay, not March. Okay, June. Okay.
Well, I think it actually got moved. It was supposed to be earlier at one point. And, keep in mind, this is only a few months down the road, and I swear I've seen her tweeting about how she's still been working on this book, like currently. So this is going to be, I can't imagine the pressure that they are under to get this thing out in time and say, well, this is it and this is how it goes and you better come up with this stuff quick. But I've always enjoyed the pre-expansion novels. I've read, like I've said many times before, I've read them for the last several expansions. I think Arthas was probably the first. And first, still, in my opinion, the greatest. I think War Crimes was pretty good. I think it was interesting.
I mean, if you like Law and Order, it's like...
because of the courtroom scenes?
It's all the courtroom scenes.
Well, and what was funny with War Crimes is, if you folks have never read it, highly recommend it, just because if anything else, there's a whole bunch that happens that is never explained in-game, and I think that it was the first time that there was a whole bunch of information that was put in the ancillary work, in this case this novel, that gave you all the context for why the expansion was even happening in the first place. Like,
you're right.
Why was Garrosh back in time? Where did that come from? We locked him up at the end of Pandaria. What the hell is going on? There's all this other stuff that you have no knowledge of. They don't talk about it at all in game. Suddenly, he's there, and he's changing the timeline, and he eventually gets beat down by Thrall and electrocuted to death. You know? I mean, it was pretty rad, but they give no context for it whatsoever. So, if there's the one criticism that I would have when they do these kinds of books, that would be the one that I have, is that it almost makes it a necessity in order to have full context for what happens in the expansion, to have spent the time and spent the money to read the book. I think people should anyway, because they've always been great. We haven't seen a Christie Golden novel in a little while because she didn't write the last one, which was Illidan. The Illidan one was phenomenal, and going through his journey, the whole thing with the demon hunters, explaining where he went and why, and yeah, it was a little bit of a retcon, but the way that they did it, how they brought all of that stuff to the forefront, it was fascinating. And part of it is because Illidan was a really cool character, and I think for us, for whatever reason, we always gravitate towards the bad guys because they're the more interesting ones, whether it was Arthas, whether now it was Illidan in this last one, and now he's a good guy. It's the Darth Vader thing. Really?
Yeah. It's the whole gray area, the whole gray Jedi.
Who would that? I guess that would be Sylvanas now.
No
expansion.
No, I don't think so, because
who's the? Well, I guess on the Alliance side, she's sort of the bad guy, but I guess that could be said the other way around. I don't know who's really the bad. It's the old gods. I guess that's where we're going eventually, right?
Yeah, that or Rathian or something like that. I could pick up on Rathian being something, but he's not really. He's just like a neutral character, I guess.
Yeah,
no, we don't really have a. We don't really. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to know where he is, and nice to know what's happening. You know, he's got. He'll probably make an appearance at some point again. I mean, you know, he's had a whole 2 expansions now that we haven't seen him.
He's waiting for Anduin to be available. He's plotting. So back to Alpha News. One of the things that certainly piqued my interest, and I know it did yours as well, it looks like we are getting yet another item level squish.
Yep.
Which we had a couple of expansions ago, when numbers are getting completely out of control, hundreds, thousands, millions of damage, and thousands of points in strength or agility or all your other ancillary stats, all of that sort of stuff. Now we're at that point again where apparently the numbers are getting too out of control because everything. Listen, I'm not a numbers guy, but I understand the very basic concept is that it all scales, and at some point that slope the trajectory just shoots straight up in the air, and they have to kind of bring that back down to Azeroth a little bit. So the example that they gave were a couple of items just to sort of show the direction that this is heading. So a level 1000 item, which is currently our legendary items, those are going to go down to 280.
Okay.
970 will go down to 250. 940 will go down to 220. So to kind of, if you want to plot that on a map or a chart or some other math thing that I don't know how to use, feel free, folks, and you can take a look and see what that looks like. But again, how many times do we have to do this? And maybe this is just, listen, is this just a way of life? Is this just something that we as players have to prepare for every couple of expansion cycles? Everything gets lowered down a little bit and the scaling gets a little weird, and maybe something that was easy to overcome, a lot easier to overcome at one point. Now maybe you might struggle, or it takes longer, but you don't get hit as hard. I mean, do we even care about this, or is it just a numbers thing, or I don't know. What do you think?
I'm actually sans caring about this. No, but we experienced this already, and it was back in Pandaria we experienced it, and it didn't really make our gameplay all that different. And you know, people love seeing the big numbers, and you'll still have your big numbers in the size of smaller numbers. It'll all work out in the end, and I think they're just front-loading future expansions by the larger item squish this time around. It wasn't a very large item squish last time. This time, you know, you're losing, what is it, 700 points off the item level? Is that
That's like 3/4 you're going down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big squish, and I almost wonder if it'll all fall in line with the with other items out there whenever we're doing time walking and things of that nature. And you know, I don't know if they're trying to balance out old expansions with new expansions and things like that. But yeah, I trust the game designers. I trust that they know what they're doing. They've not really failed us at any point with this. It's we've all got subscriptions still. They've not done anything where I've just got them in like, fuck this, I'm unsubscribing. You know, it's
I'm only doing 500 damage.
I mean, it all falls back to the old John Madden strategy. You know, we get the enemies the NPCs hit points to 0 before our hit points get to 0, and we're doing all right. So that's all that matters. So you know,
as long as we have one more health point than they do, but at the end,
exactly,
that's all that matters.
That's it.
Yeah, it is funny to see. Now, last time there was a bit of hysteria about this. Well, I guess we'll have to see what it's like this time. But it's like it's all the same in the end, really, unless it makes old content really difficult. And that, I think, has been the guiding light on this, is depending on how the numbers work out and the scaling works out. I think for me, when I play, I just want to make sure stuff that I could steamroll in the past, I can still steamroll because I'm doing transmog runs, which or you know, that's really the only reason I run old content nowadays. But
right,
I want to be able to have that freedom. You know, maybe I want to go show my son some old dungeon or, you know, some old raid, really, that, you know, I'm way over geared or whatever the thing is. I just want to show him a cool spot in the game. And now maybe it takes forever to get there because maybe I'm not getting killed because the damage isn't as high, but I'm not doing as much damage. And so now it takes forever and it's a pain in the ass and I don't want to do it anymore. That's the kind of thing I think I'm looking for, just to make sure, hey, I relatively still want to have that overpower ability where I can still go into ICC on 25 heroic and just smoke the place to the ground in like 15 minutes.
We'll still be able to do that. We're still going to be able to do that. It's just, you know, smaller numbers. So, yeah.
Just be our way of life.
Yep.
One of the other changes that I saw in some of the data mining notes was, and I couldn't quite tell what exactly is happening. I don't know if you have a better idea or a better sense of what this is, but it seems like there are some major profession overhaul changes coming of some type. And the one that I noticed in particular, this is one that was pointed out, was that it looks like first aid might be going away.
Yeah.
And
do you actually use it? I don't.
That's what I was going to ask. When is the last time you used a bandage for anything?
Honestly, I have tried to use it when farming ICC for the legendary, because you get to that green dragon and you have to heal up the green dragon. But the bandages don't really do anything. You need the engineering bandage gun for that, and 3 or 4 hits with a bandage gun heals her up, and then
There's a bandage gun?
You know, there's a bandage gun that engineers can make. It's actually really cool. So it's pretty cool. And you use that to farm the orb that you need to get these orbs from while you're working on your legendary in ICC. So Frostmourne. So, or not Frostmourne. I'm sorry, it's not Frostmourne. It's
Shadowmourne.
I forget what it was. Shadowmourne. Yes. So when you're going through, you use the bandage gun, and you can heal the dragon because bandages don't work. But I have not used a bandage. I level first aid out of the fact that it's one of the skills that needs to be leveled up when I see it, because I don't like having weird stuff like off on my character. I like to level up everything on my tunes, so this will be one less thing I have to level up. So it'd be nice.
Yeah, I always kind of wondered, especially over the last couple of expansions, why they haven't made that a more viable option. I guess maybe it's because you want to ensure that healers have something to do, but I've lobbied for years that warriors should have a healing spec, just dual wield bandages or something, because then we could just run around just wrapping people up like mummies. I don't know. But I'll be interested to see if it goes away, if it's just modified to some respect, because like for warriors, leveling a warrior without a bandage is kind of tough, or at least it used to be. So there used to be not just be the bandage for health, but there was like one for poisons, and there was like a first aid kit kind of thing.
Right.
I think they've tried to kind of modify it over time to make it more valuable, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I, as a whole, with professions, have fallen way off on keeping up with them, on leveling them, on doing them at all, because I'll be quite frank, it's so confusing for me now with there's rank 1 and rank 2 and rank 3 for this one item, and then I have to go to this place to do this specific thing, and it's like, I just want to go and hit some shit on an anvil and make a breastplate.
Yep.
Like, what happened to that?
I know, it would be nice to have that be a viable option for gear too, because as an engineer, if you want to make a flying mount, you have something that you use on a daily basis. But with with blacksmithing, you would just make this breastplate or something, and then you'd go out and do a quest, and you've already got a better piece of gear than what you've got on. So I would love to see the abilities like blacksmithing, like all these other trade skills, actually, I don't know, maybe help augment the armor that you've already got on. I could see like if blacksmithing would be like, okay, so like it wasn't kind of like how it was in Warlords, where you make something and then you could improve upon the item that you made and keep improving upon the item that you made. And it would still bring up the item level, and it was a viable solution for another way to get gear. But yeah, other than that, it's really my blacksmithing is not maxed out. It's not maxed out because there's really nothing there that I want. I don't even want the legend. Like, we can make legendary belts, and I have no interest in making a legendary belt.
I don't even think I've seen that.
I'm like, yeah, there's a blacksmithing belt that blacksmiths can make. I haven't even made it. I got all this stuff in my bank, but yeah.
Well, I know that you have played long enough, like I have, to remember a time when there used to be plans that were very rare that would drop on a server, and you knew that there were only like 3 people on the entire server that could make, and I remember specifically in Burning Crusade, the Warrior Plate Belt.
Yes.
That was the best one. That was the best one for raiding, and there was only like 2 or 3 guys on all of the server that I was on at the time who could make them, and you had to stalk these people,
and you had to schedule time with them, and you had
to tip them all big and say, "Hey, man, it's all the gold I have. Can you make this for me? Yeah, you got the materials. Yeah, I got the materials. Okay, here you go." And yeah, all right, it was a little bit of a interesting bartering situation going on there that was very unofficial, but I don't know. I kind of missed that. One, that sort of community vibe where you actually had to reach out to people that you played around.
Yeah.
But 2, I don't know. It feels like with all of the secret stuff that's in the game now, with like secret mounts and little pets and all these kinds of things, I kind of wish that they'd done a little bit more of that with, in particular, I'll say because of blacksmithing, because that's what I've always had, is, some item that's out there that's super rare, that to create the plan, you have to go do this, and then this over here, and this thing over here. And then, maybe there's only a couple people on the server that have this one thing, or these couple of things, and it's an actual, useful, viable item, not just like a cosmetic item, although that would be cool. I think it would be nice to see maybe a little return to the value of certain rare items amongst your professions, but it does look like there's some general overhaul coming. They're changing.
Yeah. It
looks like skill points for certain benchmarks on other professions. So I don't know. Have you seen anything else? Anything else come to mind on that?
This will be the 3rd time I threw her name out, but I watched Hazel's video on this, and it shows that she shows that the way it works is you will have, like, if you want to make something in Pandaria, you don't have to have the other skills. You don't have to have the overall skill level to make the stuff in Pandaria. You would just need to level up your blacksmithing or your trade skill in that particular expansion. Mm-hmm. So if you were trying to make something in Burning Crusade, then you would work on Burning Crusade things, and you don't have to have, the original blacksmithing, or say you're in Legion and you're trying to do something. Well, you could just, like it is right now, you can go through and you can make the Legion gear, and you don't have to have all the prior experience for this. You could start off where you're at. You don't have to go through and level it from 1 to 700 or 1 to 800, whatever it is now. Because, you know how it used to be. You're like, I want to be an engineer today, so I need to go buy all this stuff from the auction house. I need to go sit on the webpage. I need to watch 1 to 33. This is what I'm making. 33 to, and that's what it's not
leveling
like
guides for your professions. Oh, you're buying all this. What was it? All the dusts and all the little bits and pieces of shit that nobody's cared. I'm actually kind of glad they're getting rid of that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so there's some interesting things coming down the line for trade skills. So we'll see. Who knows? I haven't, hopefully it'll be interesting.
Hopefully, I think for me with professions, I just want to get back to a point where it's just simplified to some degree, because it's just, like I said, multiple ranks of things. I don't even know where to go right now. I don't know what to do. I could go on a site, I'm sure, and find a guide and pick it up where I am, but I shouldn't have to do that. It kind of goes back to something you and I have touched on a couple of times. Yeah. I shouldn't have to go to another website to tell me how to do a thing that seems like it should be kind of critical in the game. It's sort of like with rotations and stuff. I should be able to figure it out fairly simply, and there are people that do, and I'm just not that with it. I need a little more hand-holding, I guess. But particularly with professions, it just seems a little more convoluted than I think I'd like it to be. So that's kind of the alpha news we've seen coming out more recently. Certainly, it's, like you said, very early. We have 7 months to go, give or take, until the next expansion comes out. So this is just the beginning. And I think as we go along, you will probably get access into more. I will probably get into access into more. And once we do, I think you and I will have to kind of sit down and maybe do a little play session, figure it out, and give the people our impression of that. So beyond alpha news, we did get something that comes up every now and again, which is a new and very fluffy store mount. And apparently the floof, quote unquote, the floof level of this mount was rejiggered a bunch of times. But the Year of the Dog mount, Shu Zen, the Divine Sentinel, was released just in the last week or so. This was originally put out there as part of a 6-month purchase of time promotional gig in China, where if you bought 6 months worth of time in China, this came as a sort of a promotional gift for you. And then seemed like out of nowhere, suddenly for $25 we could get it here too. Seems like we're getting the better end of the deal. I don't know how much they charge for time in China per month, but for us that's like 2.5 months.
Oh wow!
Worth. I mean, what do we even pay? What's a monthly? What is the monthly right now on Warcraft?
I do the 6 month. It's like, I do 6 months, so it's like $12 a month. But if you do monthly, I think it's still $15.99.
$15.
Yeah, I think
so. There you go. So it's not even 2 months worth of time here.
Yeah.
With these kinds of mounts, with store mounts, granted there's hundreds of mounts in game. They try to do something a little bit special or something unique with the store mounts. Have you Navox purchased any mounts from the store?
Yes, I have, but they've always been attached to a game. So, or I remember when Diablo 3 came out, they had a promotion where you bought Diablo 3, you would get
Tyrael's Charger.
Tyrael's Charger. I love that mount. It's a great mount. It's my Paladin's mount. I love it. And then with BlizzCon, I got the flying ships. So that was really fun. I like those things. But I don't really go out and buy mounts. I like to chase down the mounts in game because I love the Griffins. I love the Alliance Griffins, and I love the Alliance horses. I like all the Alliance, the standard Alliance items. So, I saw the armored Griffin. I went out there and did the armored Griffin quest, whatever that we had that back in Pandaria. So, that is a great model still. That model of that Griffin is amazing still. I love it. And,
so good.
Yeah.
And it was a good storyline.
It really was. It really was a good storyline. But I haven't got out there and bought any of the mounts, like the dog that they just put out there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to buy that one, but I did in Pandaria. I bought like the golden dragon serpent, whatever that one was. Because I just thought that one was super cool, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to ride this thing around. And then I bought it, and then I rode it, and the camera action on it was so wonky that I never touched it again. I was like, that was the biggest waste of money ever.
I couldn't get into those dragon mounts just because it didn't fly. Oh, when you're trying to fly straight, it's your character's doing this on, going around in circles on the screen. It was driving me, spiraling. They're
going up and down and all around. I'm like, I'm getting seasick, and I never get seasick. I'm like, this is too much.
Yeah.
No, but I'm with you for the most part. I typically, if there is a mount associated with some other purchase, whether it's a game, it's been pretty much every BlizzCon for the last 10 years, all of that kind of stuff. Definitely we'll jump in and get a mount as part of one of those purchases. So outside of all of this, we do have some other sort of just general random news out there. The Dungeon Invitational is returning for Stage 2, or for, I guess this is Season 2. Stage 1 is going to be sort of a proving grounds where teams are going to get together and show who's got the best skill level. That'll be there's one round happening on February 27th, and then there's another round on March 6th, where 4 regions, Americas, Europe, China, and the Asian Pacific, will have their best teams battle it out and figure out who essentially is going on to Stage 2, which has yet to be determined. I know that I did not watch the first season when it happened. I kind of saw it going on the periphery, and there was a lot of press going on about it. People seem to just be loving the hell out of it, and I completely missed it. So did you watch the first season? If you did, what was the big deal with it?
I watched it, and all I did was I watched a lot of guys do the Mythic Dungeon stuff. So it was interesting, but I mean, I understand. Listen, I understand if people like to sit and watch esports. Esports has become a big thing, and they like
huge,
and it's it's something that people like to sit down and watch. Just like there's people that sit down and watch football, baseball. People sit down and watch esports. I watched it because I thought this was kind of cool because it was different than PvP, and you could pick up some cool tips that the announcers will give you while they're doing it. They're like, they drink an invisible potion and they're running through there. And I'm like, that's.
And
that's
how exactly does it work? Like, are they going for time? Are they competing against each other? What's the actual format?
They are competing for getting it done in the quickest time. They get it. They get it done in the quickest time, and then they end up win. They'll end up winning at the end, or that's how they determine the winner. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't follow it all the way through to the end. So I'm just gonna say, folks, it's not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm not sitting here going, oh boy, can't wait for it to happen. If it's on Twitch, and I happen to be having some downtime at work, because these things start, and it's usually like 3:00 my time when they start. So I'm neck deep in work at the time. So I usually have YouTube or Twitch on. I'm listening to something going on. I'll have it on, but I'm not actively going out there and armchair quarterbacking the whole thing, pretending like I know what the hell's going on Twitter just to get, views and retweets and stuff. Oh, I can't believe so-and-so did that. Oh my God, I'm such a big fan. And I don't follow it that much.
I will have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have seen a lot of excitement about it, whether we're excited about it or not. I think I'm going to check this one out just because I want to see what all the hype is about. I'm always kind of curious to see why people are getting so jacked up.
I will watch it too. I will make it a point to sit down and experience it. So
that's a couple weeks from now. All right, so round about the next episode or so of this show, we'll come back and we'll have our correspondence reports.
We should schedule time where you're like, you know what, I'm going to check this out. If you're going to watch it live, let me know, and maybe we could watch it live and do a live commentary about what's happening. I don't know if that's something we could do, but I think we could do something like that and be like, holy shit, this is really cool, or oh my god, well, this is so boring.
Why did they do that? That was a terrible idea. Unshackled Fury presents live tweeting of the Warcraft Dungeon Invitational. We'll make it happen, folks. Stay tuned to this Warrior channel, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Outside of this, there's something a little mysterious brewing.
Yes.
Over at Blizzard, as a couple of the news sites have reported in the last couple of days that some Warcraft 3 streamers, which I didn't realize that there were this many that were still out there
around
playing this beloved game, but a few Warcraft 3 streamers have been apparently invited to some unannounced event, potentially at Blizzard at the end of the month. Nobody's really quite sure. Apparently there's a post that one of them put up about getting a visa and having to leave the country because they're over in Europe. Something is going on. And I think it was MMO Champion or one of the other ones posted a screenshot or a snapshot of a job posting that may or may not be related to this.
Mm-hmm.
Something about an MMO RTS project. Maybe Warcraft 3, something like Warcraft 3 is coming to mobile gaming. Somewhere in this neighborhood, it seems like Blizzard's up to something. And I don't know. It's been a long time since I played Warcraft 3. I mean, it's been many, many years, and it was very brief in comparison when it happened. With sort of the rise of all of the other games that you've seen, particularly on the mobile platform, where you've got like Clash of Clans and kind of some of those other ones where you're building up bases and you're going up and doing stuff and you're having battles and all these kinds of things. It does seem like there's a natural fit for Warcraft 3, or something like it. I mean, what do you think about this?
I think that's exactly what it is. I think, they're viewing the App Store as a market that they can go into besides having Hearthstone out there. They've got Hearthstone for it. Put a Warcraft game out there for it, especially with what you just mentioned, Clash of Clans. I do not game on my phone. I think the screen's too small for me. I think I go cross-eyed looking at it. But I would probably get into playing I loved playing Warcraft. I loved the old RTS style. I don't play StarCraft as much, but I enjoyed Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, so on and so forth. I just and I do miss that genre. I mean, so I am looking forward to this. It'll be nice. Maybe I'll end up getting a tablet just so I can play it. Who knows? But yeah, more power to them if they're trying to get into that market. So
yeah, and it seems, like I said, that whatever is going on, it may be happening sometime in the next couple of weeks. So maybe we'll have an announcement pending, and if we do, we'll certainly bring it to you fine folks here on this program. Just now, a couple of hours ago, right before we started recording this show, a player has apparently undertaken the great duty of leveling to 60 in the make love, not Warcraft vein of only killing boars.
Oh, man.
A player by the name, and if I'm saying this right, Ian Explosion, has leveled to 60, killing only boars in the game. Now, he couldn't stay in Elwyn Forest because of the leveling and some things, and it looks like he kind of had to travel all over to get just to boars that were of the right level. But apparently, it's possible. This guy's done it. It did not require the millions of boars that Cartman had once stated that it was going to in Make Love, Not Warcraft.
Yeah.
It only required 19,801 boars, and no word on whether or not he had to shit in a bedpan to make it. So, but ladies and gentlemen, apparently it is possible. Lastly, our last bit of news this episode: the Activision Blizzard earnings call from a couple of days ago on February 8th. It's kind of boring generally to dive into these things. Investor calls are usually not the most, starry-eyed of events. But I do like to check in from time to time, just give you folks the lowdown on how Blizzard's doing, the health of the company, those sorts of things. To put it bluntly, they're doing fucking amazing. The company as a whole, $7.2 billion in total revenue, if I understand the numbers correctly. And that's all the games, licensing, merchandise, the whole schmear. $1 billion of that coming from microtransactions.
Yep.
So let me tell you, folks, if you don't like microtransactions or you think they're ruining the game, I got news for you. They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
On the flip side, if you love them, you're probably only going to get a shit ton more because this thing is a cash cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beyond the money, what I thought was kind of cool was that for Blizzard in particular, because Activision Blizzard as a company, it's not just Warcraft and Hearthstone and Overwatch and all that kind of stuff. It's also all of the Activision side, Call of Duty and all of those guys.
Yep.
But for the Blizzard side itself, they were stating that 50 minutes per day in activity is what they were sawing per count, which puts them on par with Facebook and Netflix.
Yep. That's insane.
It is to be on that level. Our beloved franchises and company. It's kind of hard to believe when, it seemed like such a niche thing, and it still kind of is to be a gamer and to be involved, particularly in these franchises. But to see that the level of activity that goes on is on par with Facebook and Netflix in terms of active time, that's pretty good. Now, it's not the same. We're not talking about total users because Facebook is way beyond anything.
Right.
But in terms of engagement, that's pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
And beyond that, this is not our franchise for this show necessarily, but in the first week of the Overwatch League, they reached more than 10 million unique viewers.
Now, I was one of them because I cannot play Overwatch, but I like to watch other people play. I can play Overwatch. I'm not good at Overwatch. I can play Overwatch. I'm better at Call of Duty, but I can't play Overwatch. I like to watch people play Overwatch for some reason. Yeah. I do. I'm not just saying that. It's a fun game to watch people play. So,
well, I should have pulled, or I should have held on to the stat when I saw it, but they're already talking about expanding the Overwatch League. And they were saying that the buy-in for a team was like $60 million or something. And maybe I'm making that number up, but it was some insane amount because, again, when they first pitched this whole idea, they wanted it to be something where there were minimum salaries, there was healthcare, there was, league standards like you would have for NFL, NBA, NHL, the major franchises that you see, and they really do have a vision. Blizzard, their investors, the owners, and everybody else, they have this vision of Overwatch and the Overwatch League being something that is taken very seriously and very legitimately, and the names and the money that they have rolling in, I am not in a position to doubt it at this point. And I know that there are those that do doubt it, but you're looking at millions of people checking it out, millions of dollars already being generated, and this thing has nowhere to go but up, really. So, but at the end of the day, Activision Blizzard still doing very well. I wish I had more money to invest in stock because I continue to believe that at one day, not just on the gaming side are they going to be doing all of this revenue, the Overwatch side is going to continue to blow up. And then one day when they open their own movie studio like Pixar, it's just all going to go crazy.
It'll happen too. We will see a Warcraft style movie animated or something like that at some point, or an Overwatch animated, film. Something's going to come out, And
we'll be there for that, Rad.
Exactly.
All right, well, that does it for the news. And one last item, our newest featured sponsor. This time, we are proud to present to you Red Wolf.
Drink Red Wolf.
Red Wolf.
Need to feel the power before raids? Drink Red Wolf.
Red Wolf.
Raid leader yelling at you for not pre-potting? We say fuck pre-pots. Drink Red Wolf.
Red Wolf.
Tired of being told to get out of shit when you really don't give a fuck and you want to stand there and look at meters?
Drink Red Wolf.
Feel the power of the wolf. Varian Rin flow through your veins. You'll explode with energy.
Ask your doctor if Red Wolf is right for you. Side effects are uncommon and include headache, nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool,
Darkened soul.
lycanthropy, more vomiting, arterial sclerosis, hemorrhoids, diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar high, even more vomiting, your mom, and a mild rash.
Drink responsibly.
Well, that was a hell of a sponsor. You know, we we get some good ones on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Drink up, folks. Drink up. All right. Well, that does it for this episode. Other than this fine program, where can the good people on the internet find you, Nav?
You can find me over there on the Twitterverse at nav_OX, and also the same on Twitch.
As for me, you can always find me on Twitter at BerserkerRage. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can always find this show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Next week, we hope to bring you, or next episode, we hope to bring you something that we haven't had on the show in a very long time. So we'll keep you posted. Thank you for listening. And until next time, keep your swords wet and your banners high. We will catch you next time. Rage on, my Furians.